Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I just got to listening to Dan Le Batard. He was talking briefly about Dame Lillard and the whole situation with Wojnarowski. Essentially, what they're saying over there, Dan's channel, and they're Miami people, of course, from Miami. So, their point of view is that Woj was kind of putting forth Portland-sided journalism in a sense, saying that Dame's contract needs to be garnered more so than just Tyler Hero's return. He was saying, according to Dan Le Batard, Woj was reporting that both sides are going back and forth more or less on phone calls trying to get a deal going. According to Dan Le Batard, he's saying that Miami's deal is in place. The offer is what I'm saying. It ain't no more, no less than Tyler Hero for Dame Lillard. Because Dame Lillard's a certain age, the contract is going to balloon to $60 million. Both the last 2 years of that 4-year deal, I believe it is. And the Miami Heat are essentially asking Portland, if you can find a better player in return than that for Dame Lillard, with Dame Lillard forcing his way to Miami, because he's saying he only wants to play here. If you can get a better player within these circumstances, we may be willing to up our offer, but until then, the offer is set, and that's not what Woj is reporting. So that's essentially what Dan Le Batard's people were saying over there on his show. And that contract, man, Dame's contract, is tough. It's really tough. He's a hell of a champion level player. He hasn't won a chip yet, but we know what he could do if he were to get in the right situation. But you really force your team, both the team you're on, the team you're traded from, into a corner when you only put one team on the list. You affect the price tag on everything. Maybe that's the goal for Dame's side, is to try to make that return as small as possible so that he can have as much as possible when he gets to Miami. But it's a cold game. The game is real dirty when you start talking about trying to force your way out of places and what it does to the fan bases that get left behind with no return. And I guess Dame is saying that's Portland's choice by allowing themselves to find themselves in this situation. And I guess I don't know. I don't know how that looks, other than Dame gonna go after what Dame wants, and that's how it goes. He giving Portland everything he gonna give him, and now that they're pushing him out the door, I don't think he really has any interest in making sure that they are whole for doing so. And I don't know, man. I don't think that's something I could really put myself in his shoes and even really consider. I don't know how that feels, but if I'm him, I'm just looking at this saying, I am cognizant that I'm leaving Portland in a position to not be very good once I leave here. Now, if I don't care, I only care about Portland so long as I'm attached to him, then I gotta know that's how I'm gonna be treated when I come back. And so it's not a perfect science trying to move around as an NBA player, and it's not a perfect science trying to get the most money out of this situation, but something has to give. And unfortunately, I'm sure he would be willing to stay with Portland if they weren't kicking him out. So that's a big part in this situation. I don't think it's his choice to leave Portland per se, even though it's out there that he wants a trade demand, only because him and Scoot Henderson aren't the best fit going forward for either of their circumstances. And to me, it seems that Dame is the one telling everybody that this is something that needs something done about, rather than just starting the season with these two and asking them to coexist. Dame is the one saying, I'm going to do something about this. Get me the hell out of here. And from where I'm sitting, it seems like Portland is saying, yeah, we agree, but we didn't have the strength to take that stance. But since you have, thanks. Now the door's closed behind you. That's what it seems like is going on there. And then everything that trickles down from there. Both sides had it wrong. You come to that conclusion, but you certainly don't go about it the way both sides have. Portland, I don't even know if you don't make sure that Dame is off the team before the draft pick is put in place. Before Scoot is drafted, Dame should have been gone. In a perfect world, all that time y'all was negotiating Jeremy Grant, y'all should have been trying to find a trade for Dame Lillard. That Jeremy Grant contract could have been with the win. Why? Because it didn't matter if you signed him or not. I hate to tell Portland this, but signing him held absolutely no consequence at all. If he stayed, if Dame stayed, he wasn't enough to make y'all as good as y'all want to be. If Dame leaves, the timeline is off, and that's a horrible contract. Nothing about that Jeremy Grant contract should have been a priority, man. Nothing. Nothing about that should have been a priority. And because it was a priority, there were other things they should have been doing that likely did not get addressed. And that is also why things are so bad in Portland right now. So the way I see it, Portland, I don't, as I've said several times on this camera, I don't think there's going to be a way for them to get a good return on this. I don't think so. I don't think they get a good return on this because at the end of the day, now that the agents are saying to all these teams, don't trade for Dame Lillard, that's exactly what they're going to do. Not trade for Dame Lillard. And the only other offer that they have on the table, according to Dan Le Batard, is Tyrese Maxey in Philly. Because Philly ain't going to up their offer past that. Knowing that Miami's the only other team on the other side and they're only offering Tyler. So what you got is a choice between Tyler and Maxey if you're the Portland Trailblazers. And if I'm Portland, I'm going to obviously take Tyler. I don't need Maxey. He's too small. I got Simons. I got Scoot. Why the hell do I need another shooting point guard? I need a shooting guard. If I'm going to take anything back, it's going to be Tyler Hero. Now, if you don't like the value of Tyler Hero, that's the cost of giving Dame Lillard all that damn money. You know what I mean? Like, literally, you gave Dame Lillard the biggest contract arguably in the league after 30. Nobody's going to want that. I keep telling y'all, I told y'all this last year when he signed that contract that nobody's going to want that. That he might as well have negotiated a no-trade clause so that he would have the leverage to do this nonsense he's doing. But it would have cut into that dollar amount, and he knew he could probably do this if he wanted to trade. So he didn't negotiate a no-trade clause. But that no-trade clause would have forced the process of this going so much smoother. He'd already be in Miami. There wouldn't be no conversation about nothing. Portland would already have moved him, I think. But they're going in believing they have a certain amount of leverage, and they're going to play that little bit of leverage that they have. And they're going to wait this thing out because they have a right to do it. And that's going to just play out as we see it does. I still think this trade gets done, whatever the trade is going to be. I'm pretty certain it gets done well before the regular season, though. I don't think this is actually going to hold much consequence at all. When the season starts, I expect Dame Lillard to be a Heat. I really do. I expect Dame Lillard to be a Heat. I expect Tyler Hero to be on a third team, and I expect Portland to bring back the value of Tyler Hero in a different way. I do believe that. And that's probably the best move. If they don't want Tyler Hero, just shoot him somewhere else. Like I said, shoot him to Boston and bring back a bunch of stuff. Because I think he would fit in Boston just fine. Maybe they'll take back some... Maybe we can do some other thing. I don't know. I'm not really fully thinking this out. But the point is, you can find another spot for Tyler Hero. I heard Toronto's interested in Tyler Hero, too. Putting him next to Grady Dick, that looks fun to me. That looks real fun. Those are two elite shooters, elite scorers that Scotty Barnes can get the ball to. Maybe you find a way to move OG Anunoby. Maybe you get him back if you're Portland, even though this price tag on that is looking crazy. You can maybe involve Toronto in a three-team deal with Miami and possibly send OG Anunoby to you as you're sending Dame out, and maybe take back whatever the hell else can come with the process of that, some picks or something, and you'll have a more of a healthy return than just Tyler Hero. You'll have his realized value, which is ultimately an option. I don't know if it's a better one for me if I'm Portland. I don't know. I ain't thought that out at all. As Scoot Henderson piece, this is the thing about the Scoot Henderson piece. He had better develop into what it is we all believe he's going to develop in, because if he doesn't, this is just another bad decision in the long line of bad decisions by a Portland Trailblazers team that's barely keeping it together, man. And so that's why I don't really know which way to go. If I'm the Portland Trailblazer front office, I do not envy them. If I'm the GM, I'm probably going to wait this out and still meditate on what it is I need to do next. Because the price is the price. I do believe that Dan Le Batard's point of view is probably the one that's really going on back there. If I'm Miami, I'm not upping my offer. And I'm not going to make it anything more than probably Tyler Hero, honestly. Maybe I'll throw in a second-round pick just to make the numbers work if it comes to that. But until I know I have someone to bid against, I'm not bidding at all. The price is the price. And Dame is forcing his way to us. So do what you want to do, Portland, but this is going to end the same way no matter what you do. If you're Portland, Here's the thing that you can't let happen. Then the likelihood of this happening is not very good, just like any other situation like this. But what you don't want to happen is for Tyler Hero to get hurt. You drag this thing out, and he goes into training camp, somehow pulls a groin in training camp. That's the worst case scenario possible. Because it seems to me that Miami doesn't value bringing Dame in as much as Portland values getting rid of Dame. That's what this tells me. And it's the same thing I said yesterday. I don't think Pat Riley would be too upset if this just doesn't happen, because it seems like it's not the greatest value coming back. And Dame's contract at 33 years of age ain't the greatest value coming back. 60 million, all that stuff we already said. If I'm Miami, I could just as well just not do this and be fine. It's the same thing I said about trading Zion if you're the Pelicans. How about I get through the summer and just don't trade him? Despite everything pointing in the direction of me doing so, how about we just slip through the summer and I forgot to? Because that's exactly how I feel about that. Because at the end of the day, Zion's at this age, even though he's got a lot of problems, he's still got a lot of athleticism. And he's still a project that's already been proven as an all-star. So it's like at this point, you just got to get his mind right, get his life right, have him grow up a little bit. 2 years from now, you don't even remember any of this. But you do see him scoring 25 points a game, dunking on everybody. So I kind of feel that way if I'm Miami. Not to say that this is the same situation, but I'm slipping through the summertime without doing what it is that everybody thinks I should do. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it unless it benefits me to do so. And if I'm giving up Tyler Hero a little hefty contract with a young player who's just already proven himself to be an all-star, for a guy like Dame Lillard, who's already had a huge groin injury that kept him out for almost a full season 2 years ago, never won a championship, I'm supposed to bring him in at the maximum possible price, let go of this young Tyler Hero piece, and then go forward with trying to make that work for me. Tyler Hero's problem with the Miami Heat is he couldn't be healthy in circumstances where they need him to be. My argument is that you bring Dame in, it might be the same problem. Tyler Hero is not as good a player as Dame, obviously, but either way, if they're not there, you're missing a piece that you need. Either way, if they're not there, that's your season right there. Your season's out. So if I'm Miami, I'm not interested in Dame Lillard like that, man. I'm maybe interested in moving on from Tyler Hero and upgrading that contract, but is that upgrade really coming in the form of Dame Lillard when you consider all that comes with that? I don't think so. I think it's a good chance that Tyler Hero's still on the team 5 years from now. I think it's a good chance that Dame Lillard's gone 6 months from now. You know what I mean? I really think that. So it's like I'm not too thrilled about giving away a homegrown Haitian that we drafted the same year that we drafted Jaime Jaquez. I mean, I think I want Jaime Jaquez and Tyler Hero on the same team for the next 7-8 years. I think that. I really think that if I'm the Miami Heat fan. Call me crazy, but Dame Lillard doesn't move me as much as a future. But that's how I always think. So I don't know, man. Miami Heat's had championships before. I'm sure they have an interest in getting back to the mountaintop. They know how it feels. They know what it's about. And they've gotten too damn close to be comfortable right now. And I get it, but the mistakes that they made, in my humble opinion, well, no, there's not no mistakes. This is exactly what I told them to do. Let some of the role players go and replace them, but they ain't replacing them. They're just trying to bring in a third star on top of 2 stars, which we know has a low chance of succeeding on this channel. So that's the take there, man. I just feel like Dame Lillard's situation looks bad for Portland. It looks pretty good for him in terms of him getting what he wants. I don't think it's going to be what he thinks it's going to be when he gets there, but I don't think people are really even looking at things like that, and I don't think they really care about how it may look, because there's a lot of money to make even if the team sucks. So I think guys are looking at, I'm going to live in Miami, even if we don't make the playoffs. I mean, I'm coming from Portland. What am I used to? And I think that's kind of how he's looking at it, because I know that team ain't going to be that good. Not as good as people think they're going to be. And that doesn't mean they can't make it to the finals. I just think when they get to the finals, they get knocked off by whatever Western Conference team is on the other side of them, because they ain't going to have the depth or the size they really mess with. That's what I think. Even if they can make it through the Eastern Conference, they ain't beating Denver. They ain't beating us. They ain't beating Phoenix. Teams that are just constructed better than whatever they're going to be able to put together right now. This is God's honest truth. And for those who are wondering, I'm a Laker fan. If you've never seen any of these videos, that's us. They ain't beating us in the finals if we were to get there. Not with Dame Lillard, not with Jimmy Butler, not with Bam Adebayo. They ain't enough firepower. It's just not. So That's what I'm here to tell people, man. I think the Heat will be a fully strong contender. I just don't think they'll win the championship. I don't think they'll win the championship at all, unless they find a way to do what Phoenix has done, which is get a bunch of players that are on inexpensive contracts, young players and stuff like that out of nowhere. But like I said a million times, they waited till the free agent pool was all dried up. They need the players that the Phoenix got to fill their team after they've done this. Those players are off the board. They're in Phoenix. So where are they going to get the talent? The only player that I legitimately see on the free agent pool that the Miami Heat could really, really be happy with after they do something like that is P.J. Washington. That's going to be the piece. It's P.J. Washington, Dame Lillard, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, which should be traded right now since it's expired. You can get something for that. That's what they need to do. Definitely trade Kyle Lowry right the hell now. Get that $30+ million into somewhere else and flip that into a bunch of stuff that can add to this trade. Not that you're upping what you're doing, but that should be something that's done anyway. They need to turn Kyle Lowry into more stable, long-term pieces. Him coming off the books at $30-something million may be beautiful for them next summer, but if they don't find themselves with anything better than Dame Lillard's contract, Bam Adebayo's contract, and Jimmy Butler, they're not going to need to add no star with that $30 million. They're going to need to add role players with that $30 million, which is what I'm telling them to do right now. Don't go down that path. Get that stuff now. You don't need Kyle Lowry that bad, especially if you bring it back Dame. So I would imagine he's going to be leaving in at some point in time in the situation. It only makes sense. And if I can move Duncan Robinson and turn him into a bunch of pieces, that's also the move. Because this is the year to do that. You get him off the books since that thing has matured some. Find a patsy that'll take that thing, trade it for Chris Paul's contract or something, and waive that, stretch that or something. Makes sense. Golden State need to do that. Because Chris Paul ain't really doing nothing for you. Go get you a Duncan Robinson, another elite shooter. Put him in that Golden State uniform. Do anything but what you're doing, Golden State. Anything but what you're doing, Mike Dunleavy Jr. So anyway, get back to Miami. So that's where my head is, man. I like the Hawkes piece. I like Jovic. And so maybe Tyler Hero. You see, those are 3 pieces. Now I'm looking at 3 pieces I want to keep on Miami. Why I need Dame? Somebody give me a legitimate reason why I need Dame Lillard's contract of $60 million for the year 34 and year 35. Why do I need that if I'm Miami? Can somebody give me a real legitimate reason why I need that? I don't think they can, man. I don't think they can. Other than the fact that Dame Lillard, he's going to get us a championship. Yes, that's folklore. That's pie in the sky. That's what you hope will happen. That's not what actually you have. That's not what really this is. You don't have nothing else but those 3, so you definitely don't have a championship. So what do I need that contract on my books for actually for? Adding words. For actually for. What do I really need that for, fam? And so I just need somebody to legitimately tell me this. And I know a lot of people are going to say, because you need stars to win championships. Yes, but I need a bench to keep the stars healthy so they can get through a long season. You know what I'm saying? Season don't start in the playoffs. The season starts in October and lasts all the way through March. That's 80 games plus, depending on if you win that tournament. You need the players that are going to keep those guys fresh. And if you don't have those players, those guys won't be fresh. And if those guys aren't fresh, they won't be winning. So what is Miami going after that Dame Lillard contract actually for? The revenue, that's all it's going to really bring. It's going to, everybody going to buy the tickets. Every single night in American Airlines Arena is going to be sold out because Dame's in the building. With Jimmy Butler and all that. By the way, salute to Jimmy. It's going to be tough to legitimately say that is Jimmy's team with Dame on it. And I know that he's the culture right now. Jimmy's the culture right now. And far be it from me in Lakerland to tell y'all what time it is in Miami. I don't know nothing about that. But from where I'm sitting, Dame is going to be the biggest star and the biggest personality in the room. And Jimmy got a bigger personality, but he's going to be the more demanding superstar to me in terms of this is what we doing, this is where we at, and this is where we headed. Now, I don't know. I may be wrong because Jimmy's a hell of a star, and Jimmy's more accomplished than Dame. But I look at Dame as a bigger name, as somebody that people are going to genuinely think is a better guy, better player, rather. And because of it, it's going to be a bit of a power struggle because Dame is used to having his own thing, and Jimmy's been the man in Miami since Dwayne left. So that looks like a possible struggle that neither one of them going to win because it's Pat's team, and we all know that. But that's not the point. I just don't know if this is really the right spot. I don't know if this is the right spot, man. And Jimmy ain't the easiest person to play with. We all know that. And Dame's coming from a situation where he's been the man, and it's ending bad. Like, do we think this is the best locker room situation when we know they ain't going to have a bench? I don't think guys are thinking this through, man. I don't think guys are thinking this through at all. I think guys think things are possible that aren't possible. And when they get there and they find out those things aren't possible, they're going to find out their team ain't very good, and they're going to be frustrated with that. Jimmy Butler is used to playing on the team with role players that all do their job. As Gabe Vincent said, they pick players that have winning intangibles, that lean into winning. Now, Dame has that. I ain't going to say Dame doesn't have that on the offensive end. He definitely has that. But a lot of those players are gone. And you're left with the players that don't play defense as well, in my humble opinion. So, like I said, I like the youngsters that they got. Miami has a nice trio of youngsters that they probably should try to focus more so of what they're focused on around. And that's Jovic, Hero, and Jaquez. If I'm the Miami Heat, I don't know if them three dudes is good enough for me to blow things up around. But I don't think I want to ship them out either to make things 30 plus for everybody. To make it so that Bam's the youngest player on the team. No. All of this is misguided and bad, man. And I know there are a lot of people. I saw something that a Spur fan wrote that had nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it just speaks to the mentality that's opposite of mine. Guy talking about his team brought in Campaign. His team has Devontae Graham. And now he wants them to ship out all the young players like Jones and whoever else is on the team that's young so that those two can have the backcourt. Campaign and Devontae Graham because they're veterans. And I tell you, me and him on the opposite end of what makes sense. Whatever the hell he's talking about, that's the crap I'm getting rid of. Those are the players. And Campaign is good, and I'm not saying they need to get rid of Campaign as quick as they got him, but there ain't no way in hell I'm looking at Devontae Graham and Campaign as my future backcourt simply because I want players who are a little older to be more veteran-y out there with Wembanyama. That is not how I think. I think that what he's talking about should be discarded of, and what I'm talking about should be Jones, and whatever else he said he wanted to let go of should be kept. That's the future. They have better upside. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to you is this. If he was in this conversation, he would likely say, yeah, get rid of those 3 kids. Bring me back the veterans who can win now. And then the team is going to suck after you fall short of winning now because you didn't have those kids to keep everybody healthy. Because that's what they're going to do. Give all those old men that you want to run out there and overuse the opportunities to rest. And get their little load management on so they'll be healthy enough to run with real, fresh young talent all up and down the field at the end when all of this long drudgery of going through the regular season is complete. You will have kept them fresh enough because you kept those young players, because you kept those Joneses and those young players you want to get rid of around to do the heavy lifting. And so for me, it's like, look, if you're not thinking that way, or you don't have those players in place, or you think the opposite, you over there with that Spur fan, believe you me, your team is not going to make it. Those vets that you want to do something, they're either not going to be good enough or they're going to be too damn tired to do what it is you need them to do. And that, my friends, is what we guard against. We guard against that nonsense on this channel. Because the vets are going to cost more. They've earned the right to take up more of your cap than probably what they deserve. It's just how the game is set up. Everybody's overpaid for what it is that they need to be taken versus what it is that's needed to win a championship. You understand what I'm saying? The goal is to have enough talent to win. The goal is not to get the biggest, hottest names. The goal is not to get 3 people who have the biggest names so that we can overwork them and run into the ground. It's to get a damned championship. And if you're not building your roster properly, so that is a possibility, then what you're doing is wasting your money and wasting the fans' time. Amongst other things that's being wasted in the circumstance, there must be some cognizance as to the correlation between players having the ability to make it through the season and the depth around them to assure that they can do so. And if we're not valuing these things, I promise you, you're going to be in a losing situation. So that is what I have to say. It's not because these vets can't play. It's because of how it's straightened out in the NBA. They're going to take too much of the cap to put anybody good enough next to them to make you a champ. We don't allow it. That's how we think. We don't allow it. We don't allow ourselves to not be good enough at all. That's a trap that is meant to keep parity in the league, and we don't fall for it. Okay? That's the reality of it. So, that's where we're at. I hope everybody can see the fruit and what it is I'm talking about. There are a lot of aspects of what needs to happen in regards to, number crunching and contract circumstances that I'm not privy to that make everything as difficult as it probably appears to be. And as complicated as it is, there's a reason for that. But at the end of the day, simplification is something that we value here. And if we haven't found a way to simplify things, and that is the goal, to keep all of the nuances of things that are complex while simplifying them easily so that people can maneuver within them. That should be the goal. And so that's what I'm saying. Player movement is difficult. You're forcing these teams to spend money on players that they probably don't want to spend money on most of these years. They got to use up 80% of their cap. Why? All that turns into is a bunch of bad contracts we don't want that have to be stuck to us for years past this moment. You're telling me this year I got to use all my money and that money's going to be trapped for 4 years? 3 years? How my team's supposed to be good? This is why you see so many bad contracts. Cleveland throwing money at people. Houston throwing money at Fred VanVleet. The only reason why they even signed Fred VanVleet is so they could trade it a year from now. They don't want that contract. They got a bunch of young kids. And so that's what I'm saying. The NBA needs to make it easier to build so that I don't have to waste money on crap that's going to have me stuck with it, that I can't move later on, that y'all going to be frustrated at me for locking up the market trying to get a good return for it. You understand what I'm saying? All this stuff trickles down. Got to figure out a better way. No team should be forced to pay money to somebody they don't want to buy. Period. And I know that sounds crazy when you word it that way, but that's exactly how it's set up in the NBA. Y'all know it's set up that way. You're buying people. Nobody should have to do that. If I don't want to spend $80 million on BDF 44 and he ain't that great of a player, then damn it, I ain't spending that money on dude. I'll tell you what I do. I'm looking for contracts that expire. And I'm looking for teams that connect draft equity to that. Instead of throwing my money at Fred VanVleet, of whom I don't want, probably ain't going to be able to retrade, I'm going to go get Tyler Hero, and I'm going to ask them to add 2 second-round picks to it. Not Tyler Hero, but Duncan Robinson. Whatever the bad contract, expiring contract, go give me a Tobias Harris expiring contract if I can weasel that away from them guys. Go give me Chris Paul's contract. I'll stretch that. Give me anything that could represent the money you want me to spend so I ain't got to spend it on crap that I don't want. Something that I can get, stretch, and keep to myself. Get, trade rather quickly for stuff that I really want. I'm not spending $40 million on Fred VanVleet when I got a brand new spanking high-level point guard that I just drafted in Amen Thompson. I'm not doing that. Even though you telling me I got to spend all this cap money, I don't want to spend it. I don't want to spend it. And that is the elephant in the room. I believe that there's probably 30 owners that feel exactly the way I do right now. I don't want to spend that money on that player. None of them dudes worth that. Let's be real. That's the problem. That is the grand elephant in the whole dang room, is that these teams are being forced into bad situations by way of the necessity of having to spend cap money each year. I don't want to spend that. I want to put that in a vault somewhere so that I can have it as trade equity throughout the course of the season. So when such and such goes down, boom, I got cap space that I can send in somebody else's direction, bring back talent, bring back pick equity so that I can have more flexibility to work with. I don't want to give my flexibility away just because you're forcing me to. I don't want to be forced to. I'd rather give you the money back than to spend it on somebody that's going to have me locked up for 3 years and a player that's not good enough. Absolutely not. So that's what I see. You fix that problem and you'll get rid of a lot of bad contracts. A lot of situations where teams got players that they can't keep, players that are coming up can't be actually valued properly because you can't give him the role because you got to justify paying this guy. I didn't want to pay this guy. I don't even want this guy like that. He cool, but I just gave him the most of my money because I had to. And now I can't play this guy behind him because I got to justify it. All of this trickles down to players not being developed properly, teams having an overload of players that they're not getting their opportunities. And other teams not getting what they need because they locked up with these contracts that they gave away money for 2 years ago because they literally had to. It's trash, man. Fix it. Fix it. More provisions, more trade exceptions, more opportunities to stack money on the side. Just instead of giving it to talent. And if for some reason I need talent, I got the money, I go get it mid-season. You see what I'm saying? If for some reason I thought, yo, my center went down, my backup center went down, and my third string went down. Guess what? I got this $18 million of cap space right over here that I didn't use in the offseason to spend on damn near Dylan Brooks or whatever. I got that money. Now I can go and do whatever I need to do within the trades. Teams are going to be willing to trade with me because I got free money. If you got a contract you don't like, dude is coming up behind another guy that you've paid, guess what? I need him now on your team because my guys went down. So let me get that center out of your way. You can play the kid that's behind him. I can bring the center to my situation because he fits better over here. And the cap space is available for me to do it. I didn't have to spend it on Dylan Brooks or Fred VanVleet or some weird stuff like that. This is how the NBA should be allowing teams to maneuver so that the flexibility of the overall market itself can be a bit more fluid. Instead of forcing everybody to spend all their damn money in the offseason on crap that they're going to have to keep locked up for several years that they ain't going to likely want to keep. Then you got to find a way to move all that stuff around, as to which it becomes significantly more difficult when nobody ever wanted to do that in the first damn place. Also, guys can be overpaid that don't deserve it. Also, guys that are not as good can get all that they need so they can keep on conning the league over and over again, averaging 5 points, getting $15 million a year. Absolutely not. No. All of that is garbage, bro. No. No. When I find a guy like LJ Figueroa gonna get like 5 steals, hit 7 threes, something like that, not Figueroa, but Demoy Hodge on a rookie contract, putting up all kinds of numbers and stuff in the summer league. You don't think I believe his upside can be crazy at $1 million? When I'm paying so and so $15 million and not even he ain't gonna even play half as good as this guy? And now I can't out of this because the money's stuck over here, and so hell nah. Enough of all of that. All of that's bad. We got to find another way, NBA, and it will make for a better set of 30 teams. Or 32, since we're expanding to Vegas and Seattle, which I'm very happy about. So that's what I want to say, man. Get up on here and talk about the same old stuff. I know y'all like, bro, you talk about this every day, but it is that serious to me. It is that serious to me as it pertains to these young players that ain't getting their opportunities, and as it pertains to the path that they're going to be on as they continue to become whatever they're going to become. If they're not going to be superstars, they're likely going to be overpaid role players that make it so that their team is not good enough to be a champion. That is who they're going to be. That's why I'm so proud of Austin Reeves for taking less money, because he sees the path to being more of a flexible piece that'll give him more contract negotiating power as it pertains to all the bells and whistles on his contract for leaving money on the table, and it allows for his contract to be more comfortable to the team he's on, so he's less likely to be moved. He keeps control of his circumstance. He keeps his value high, and he makes more money over the duration of his contract because of it. Over the duration of his career, rather, because of it. Because his value stays high, and every time he's a free agent, he's always going to be somebody who's going to be looked at as willing to take a pay cut, going to play higher than what he's supposed to, and will comfortably fit in your cap in each situation he's in. This is the path a player should be in. But when you take too much money, like Dame Lillard, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, it becomes impossible for you to be in a place you want to be in, and impossible for anybody to want you there. And so this is where we're at. It's like, yo, it's not all the owner's fault because they have to pay the money every year. They got to give up all the cap space money, at least 80-90% of it. So that's not all their fault. That forces you into giving money to people you shouldn't, too much increments to who you shouldn't. That's what it does. It forces you into that. And I'm much more cognizant of that this summer than I have been at any other point. And so it's like, man, the NBA system is set up for it to be difficult. This is why agents do what Dame's people are doing. Force me to Miami. We don't care what it does to the fans and all that, because they know the game itself is set up this way at every other angle. There's a million other different variations of this happening. They're just one of many. And so it's like, yo, Everybody's forcing their way everywhere. This is how you get things done. I heard something in content to say when an NBA player needs something done. I think I was watching Gilbert's podcast. He was saying, players got to sit in the middle of the room and light stuff on fire. You can't ask. You can't sit up here and say please. You can't go up to them. Well, nah. You just got to say, hey, look, just grab something and light it on fire. Say, if y'all don't fix stuff, I'm gonna keep doing this. And things get done, and that's how NBA players work. That's what Dame's doing. And so it's like, if that's the way it works in the presence of all of this, then that's just what you got to deal with. You know what I mean? That's just what they got to deal with. As a fan, I'm just glad that my team, my Lakers, are on the right side of all these different things. We're the one with the Austin Reeves contract. We're the one that's been getting the stuff on the cheap. But as I've said many times, it's only because we've already lived through the mistake. We suffered all of this these teams are about to go through. That's why it's like, I'm happy to be on this side of it, but it ain't like we avoided it. We just went through it first. So that's why I'm like, look, y'all team's going in the wrong direction. I know what's going to happen to you. Y'all can turn back around, though. If you can turn back around, you can fix these problems. But don't take on stuff that you cannot handle. Don't take on stuff that's not going to make you good enough. And please value depth as much as necessary. I saw Denver just like the rest of us, but Denver's been the only Denver. They're the only team that's been able to win a championship in my lifetime with only 8 players in rotation, fam. Nobody else. So it's important that most teams don't look at that model and say, we can do that too. Let's go out there shallow and hope we can make it through an 82-game season. Denver ain't made it through an 82-game season in any season but the season they won the championship. And that, my friends, is because of injuries. It's the same problem I'm worried about them having this year. If you don't have the depth, you're asking your team to do too much. You're asking them superstars to go out there and do something that the body's just not meant to do. And that's run 48 minutes for 82 games and win them all. So, that is my thought, man. That's where we at. The NBA has not given us too much to talk about in regards to things that are happening. But when I see something, it'll let me talk for 40 minutes. Y'all know how I get down. And at the end of the day, I want to see these players go to places where they need to go. I want to see these teams, fan bases not stuck with 40 years of bad luck because of a bad situation like this. And that's exactly what could happen. Worst case scenario. You got 40 years of bad luck because you trade Dame to the wrong spot and got back the wrong return. So please, Portland, make your next move your best move. And by all means, have a plan for that Jeremy Grant contract. Do not let that sit on your books for all 5 years. Get that the hell out of there. You're welcome. BDL44, I thank you all for watching.